Battle through the heavens, grand world. Chapter 255 Xiaoao's feeling. In the pile of rocks, Wu Shiwen struggled to stand up. He stared at Guyuan in shock. With his strength, he couldn't even last one round in front of Guyuan. The Yunluo Academy is really full of geniuses. How can a small leader be so powerful? He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Wu Shiwen's eyes sparkled. He cast his glance at a few new students of the Yunluo Academy who were not far away from him. Guyuan looked at the bandits who had retreated due to fear with a blank expression. He looked at Wu Shiwen. The latter's face was covered in blood, and he looked even more ferocious. His physical strength is really strong. He can still stand up. Guyuan sneered and clenched his fists. He had described Wu Shiwen in detail in the introduction of the fierce ranking. In terms of physical strength, Wu Shiwen was comparable to an emperor. Little bastard of Yunluo, don't look down on him. Wu Shiwen smiled hideously. His feet suddenly stomped on the ground and rushed towards Li Yan. Sharp light was emitted from his palm and the Origin Monarch key whistled past. Guyuan could not help but frown when he saw Wu Shiwen rushing towards Li Yan. His body, which was about to charge forward, also stopped after a slight hesitation. The previous scene flashed across Guyuan's mind. If it wasn't for the fact that they were looking for this guy, they wouldn't have fallen into the encirclement of the enemy. What made him even more furious was that when the enemy was attacking Li Yan, he actually pulled his companions in front of him as a shield. This action caused Guyuan to hesitate a little. He didn't know if he should save someone like Li Yan. However, he was also a decisive person. He only hesitated for a moment before rushing towards Wu Shiwen. Protecting the students was his responsibility. What punishment Li Yan would receive after this was another matter. When Guyuan had just left, Wu Shiwen had sensed something. The corner of his mouth revealed a cold smile. He suddenly abandoned Li Yan, who was very close to him, and rushed towards a few new students not far away. Humph! Guyuan frowned when he saw Wu Shiwen's sudden action. Immediately, he let out a cold snort. Did this fellow really think that he was a student who had not been deeply involved in the world? Swoosh! Guyuan did not hesitate at all. He did not have the shock that Wu Shiwen had expected. In the next moment, Guyuan had already rushed over. He leapt into the air and threw a punch. It landed on Wu Shiwen's back, causing him to spit out fresh blood. He landed on the ground in a miserable manner, causing the ground to collapse. With his thousands of years of experience in fighting Qi continent, just by relying on Wu Shiwen's scheming, it was purely looking for torture if he wanted to scheme against him. So strong. When Wu Shiwen suddenly rushed towards them, the faces of the few new students turned pale. Under Wu Shiwen's cold aura, they could not move at all. However, the moment they saw him, Wu Shiwen, who was like a devil in their hearts, was punched to the ground by Guyuan. Guyuan landed on the ground and lifted Wu Shiwen up. The latter was already on the verge of death. He looked at Guyuan with great difficulty and said with a miserable smile. Yunluo Academy. Guyuan, your name didn't appear on the Yunluo's ranking. What a pity. Guyuan's face was expressionless. He looked at Wu Shiwen with a calm gaze. Without wasting any time, he struck out with his palm and knocked on Wu Shiwen's chest. The latter's eyes widened, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He had already lost his breath. I will be on top of it in the future. Guyuan mumbled to himself. He was also looking forward to the Yunluo ranking. Being able to be listed on it not only showed his strength, but also many rewards in the academy. Seeing Wu Shiwen being killed, the rest of the underlings also fled in panic. Although Wu Shiwen was famous on the fierce ranking, just like what the others had said, those who were ranked below 200 were all small fries, so the subordinates they recruited were naturally not very powerful. Regarding the escape of the others, Guyuan had no intention of killing them all. After taking off the storage ring that symbolized Wu Shiwen's identity, he turned around and looked at Li Yan. The latter's body involuntarily trembled when he saw Guyuan's cold gaze. Although his talent was outstanding, he was still a young man in his teens. No matter how wild and unruly he was, he still felt fear when faced with Guyuan's endless might. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Guyuan spoke indifferently. Before Li Yan could exhale, Guyuan had already let out a cold smile. However, you have to be careful in Capital of Chaos. I have experienced even darker places than Capital of Chaos. You are courting your own death by doing this. Using his companions as a shield, no matter where he was, he would always be hated by others. After hearing Guyuan's words, the corner of Li Yan's mouth twitched slightly. He let out a cold snort and stopped talking. However, the hatred in his eyes intensified. "Let's go, our trial has been completed." Raising his head to look at the surroundings, Guyuan said in a deep voice. They had been in Capital of Chaos for more than half a month. The students they led didn't die in the hands of the enemy, but one of them was killed by their own people. What a joke. Shaking his head, Guyuan pursed his lips and looked into the distance. He didn't know how Zukun's mission was going. Although the latter's mission wasn't to kill some notorious enemy, it was to collect some extremely rare herbs. The mountain range was extremely close to the territory of Silver Moon Group. It would be bad if the people of Silver Moon Group set their eyes on it. Xiao Yan followed the direction that Zukun had told him on the small mountain path. After swallowing the Fire Wings pill, a couple of miles of distance flashed by. The surrounding scenery flew as they passed through a vast forest in the blink of an eye. How did you sense where Zukun is? As he hurried along, Xiao Yan revealed the doubts in his heart. When he was rushing towards the Yunluo Academy earlier, the Xiaoao suddenly reminded him that there was a strange fluctuation in a certain direction in the distance. It felt quite similar to him. It was because of this that Xiao Yan rushed over with great interest. He didn't expect to meet Zukun. Upon hearing Xiao Yan's question, the Xiaoao yawned and lazily said, "That person called Zukun, I don't know why, but I have a strange feeling with him. The feeling that I was able to sense just now should be a kind of feeling." Pausing for a moment, the Xiaoao suddenly said solemnly, "That Zukun, what is his original form?" With his ability, even in Xiao Yan's body, he could clearly sense the slight difference between Zukun and a normal human body. Xiao Yan pondered slightly when he heard this. Zukun's body was the ancient void dragon, but this was the name of fighting key continent. Xiao Yan had no idea what it was called in the great world. Furthermore, when he was in the Purple Radiance sect, Xiao Wang once said that the Great World had sent many soul bodies to the fighting key continent. However, the fighting monarch that had successfully arrived in the Great World did not contain the ancient void dragon. Instead, it was called the Dark Flame Ancient Dragon. Between this ancient Dark Flame Dragon and the ancient void dragon, Xiao Yan did not dare guarantee that there was a connection between this ancient Dark Flame Dragon and the ancient void dragon. Seeing that Xiao Yan was silent for a long time, the Xiaoao snorted and muttered to itself. "I keep feeling that guy is not ordinary. The ki and blood in his body are very similar to mine, but different from mine. It's really strange, what exactly is it?" Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He was silent for a moment before saying, "You mean that Zukun has a resonance with the bloodline in your body?" The Xiaoao curled its lips. Its eyes were filled with confusion. "Resonance? I don't know. Anyway, it's a very strange feeling. It seems familiar." Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.